The Awakening of the Nuckelavee. Scotland's northern shores are silent under the grey morning mist, the waves lapping quietly against jagged cliffs that have stood for millennia. Villagers along these coasts whisper of a time when the sea itself seemed to turn against the living, when crops withered overnight and sickness spread like a shadow over the land. They speak of the Nuckelavee, a creature so vile and unnatural that its very name curdles the blood of those who dare to say it aloud. I first heard the story from Ewan MacLeod, a fisherman whose family had lived near Orkney for generations. His hands were gnarled from years of nets and salt water, but his eyes carried an intensity that betrayed his fear. "It is not a story for children," he said. "The Nuckelavee, it watches, it waits beneath the waves. They say it has no skin. Its muscles and veins writhe openly, black blood pumping through exposed arteries. From its back grows the torso of a man, twisted and malformed, its arms flailing as if caught in eternal agony. Its breath alone can wither crops and sicken the livestock, and in the dark nights of summer, when the power of the mither of the sea fades, it rises. The villagers called it a curse from the old spirits, a punishment for long-forgotten sins. But no curse or charm could fully contain it. Only the mither, an ancient spirit of the ocean, could hold the Nuckelavee in check, yet her influence was fleeting. That night I walked along the cliffs, guided by lantern light and the echoing cries of distant seabirds. The air was thick with salt and something else, something foul, like decay carried on the wind. Ewan had warned me, "If you see its eyes, you do not live to tell the tale." Then I heard it, a low guttural sound rising from the water, almost like the ocean itself was groaning in pain. My lantern flickered and the waves seemed to surge unnaturally. I froze, and in that moment, the shadows on the water shifted. Something massive rose, skinless and glistening in the moonlight, a twisted fusion of horse and man, muscles rippling in a horrifying symphony of raw anatomy. Its eyes, black, void-like, burning with malice, fixed upon me. I stumbled back, my heart hammering, the scent of its breath reaching me even across the waves. It reared, striking the cliffs with a force that shook the stones. The water boiled around its hooves as if the sea itself recoiled in terror. And in that instant, I understood the full extent of the legend. This was no mere monster. This was a being born of the ocean's wrath, a living nightmare that held the power to curse entire villages with sickness and death. The night stretched endlessly, the Nuckelavee's presence a dark shadow over the land. And yet, there was something else, a whispered promise in the wind, a warning that this was only the beginning. It was not enough to survive the night. To truly escape the wrath of the Nuckelavee, one had to understand its origin, its connection to the sea and the fragile power of the mither who held it at bay. I returned to the village at dawn, soaked and trembling. The fishermen spoke in hushed tones of disappearances, of livestock found dead, crops blackened, and a shadow moving along the waves. My own curiosity had become a peril. The Nuckelavee was real, more terrible than any tale could convey, and its awakening was only a matter of time. The wrath of the Nuckelavee. The village had not slept for nights. Every gust of wind carried the ominous stench of the creature, and every wave that crashed against the cliff seemed to echo its guttural roar. The mither of the sea's power had waned, and the Nuckelavee had broken its watery prison. I joined Ewan and a handful of villagers on the cliffs at twilight, lanterns in hand. The air was thick and suffocating, the kind of night when shadows seem to move with intention. "It comes with the tide," Ewan whispered, his eyes scanning the horizon. "And it never comes alone. Its fury spreads, and soon it will touch every corner of Orkney." We saw it first as a ripple, a distortion in the dark waters. Then, with a horrifying grace, it emerged, a monstrous skinless horse with the human torso fused to its back, black blood glistening, sinews stretched taut. Its breath rolled over the land like a plague-laden wind, and even from a distance I could feel the decay seeping into my lungs. Villagers screamed, cattle panicked, and the crops in nearby fields withered in moments. The legends were true. This creature was not bound by reason or natural law. It was a force, a malevolent spirit incarnate, and the summer months had given it dominion. Ewan tried to hold it at bay with old charms, symbols painted in ash on the rocks. But the Nuckelavee did not obey. Its hooves struck the cliffs with crushing force, splintering the stone, and its human arms lashed violently, shattering lanterns and throwing men to the ground. Then a faint, ethereal glow appeared over the horizon. The Myther of the sea, the ancient spirit, had returned in the form of a pale, shimmering figure rising from the waves. She raised her hands, and the Nuckelavee shrieked, a sound that curdled blood, black smoke curling from its exposed flesh. For a fleeting moment, the villagers and I witnessed the battle of two ancient powers, ocean and abomination, spirit and curse. The Myther's glow enveloped the creature, forcing it back into the dark depths from which it had emerged. Its screams reverberated through the cliffs, echoing in my bones. The sea calmed, the wind stilled, and for the first time in days, silence returned. But the warning was clear. The Nuckelavee had tasted freedom, and though the Myther restrained it once more, she could not hold it forever. The villagers knew this. The creature was bound to return, and when it did, it would come hungrier, faster, and more destructive than ever. As dawn broke, I looked out over the calm waters, the scars of the night etched into the cliffs and fields. The Nuckelavee had shown its power, its malice and its hatred for the living. And somewhere deep beneath the waves, I could sense it waiting, patient and relentless. The legend of the Nuckelavee is not merely a story, it is a warning. A reminder that nature and spirit are not always kind, that some forces are older than fear itself, and that survival sometimes depends on respect, vigilance, and the mercy of ancient powers that walk or swim among us. And when the Myther fades, the devil of the sea will rise again.